Something else we have to decide in every game, several times in every game probably, is whether a player caught the ball or not. We've all had those plays, tight ones at the sideline. Did he get his foot in? Did he maintain the ball? He's going to the ground. The ball pops out. Did he have it long enough? Was it complete? Was it incomplete? If he catches it in the end zone, did he have it long enough for a touchdown? Was it a catch, fumble? All of these things we've had in our games. And when we're sitting there and we have to say, is it a catch or not? What do we base that on? Well, again, this is something that the rule somewhat helps us, but doesn't tell us a whole lot. According to definition, a catch is the act of establishing player possession of a live ball which is in flight, where the player then first contacts the ground in bounds while maintaining possession of the ball. You see up front it says establishing player possession in the green. I have in blue securing control, and I'll talk about why I have that in a second, but that's really the term we want to use. Because if you take a look at Rule 234.1, it says a ball in player possession is a ball that's controlled by a player after he's caught it. So by definition, you can't possess the ball before you've caught it. So that's why when I look at Rule 241, that first time when I say established player possession, I like to read that as establishing, securing control of the live ball in flight, contacting the ground in bounds while maintaining possession of the ball. Something to remember here, catching is not just a quick thing. It's a three-part process. It's not a single action. And the player has to make all three parts work. And we have to think this. And if we can start thinking three-part process in this, when we're looking at this and determining whether a catch has been made, it'll help us out. And this process is the same whether this is in the end zone or in the middle of the field. Player getting two hands on the ball in the end zone doesn't mean it's a touchdown yet. If it's not a catch at the 50-yard line, it's not a catch in the end zone. And so when we're looking at this, remember, catch is a process. Secure control of the ball, touching the ground in bounds, and maintaining possession. So let's take a look at what those three things mean. What is secure control? The basic way to think about it is that the player has a firm grip on and firm control of the ball. And it's with his hands or arms. We don't establish secure control by having the ball pinned between our legs accidentally. That's not what we need. We're looking for the hand and the arm to have the ball. It's okay if the ball moves a little, as long as the ball is moving in the control of the receiver. It's not bobbling, it's not juggling, it's not sliding up after it hits the ground. Those things indicate a loss of control. And so those are the things we need to look at about secure control. Touching in bounds is pretty easy, it's pretty much straightforward. Any body part that touches the ground in bounds is enough. He doesn't need to get a full step or two steps like it might be in the NFL. As long as any part of his body touches the ground in bounds, he's in bounds. A toe is enough, a heel is enough. It does not have to be a full step under our rules. The most important thing is maintaining possession. And maintaining possession really relates to time. The player must maintain control of the ball long enough to be able to make an act common to the game, or what we will say is a football move. He has to have the ball long enough to make a football move. And examples of those mean long enough to pitch the ball, to hand it off, to advance, or to ward off an opponent. If he doesn't have it long enough to do that, he has not maintained possession of the ball. This is a way to make sure that the receiver really caught the pass as opposed to just momentarily having two hands on it. Because catching a ball means something. It's a process, not just a quick act. But timing is important. And if you look at it and it just seems like the player loses the ball too quickly, he probably did. If it's that quick, he probably didn't complete the catch. He probably didn't maintain possession of it. So when we're looking at maintaining possession, we want to look at two different situations. One involving a receiver that's upright and on his feet, and the other, more common and sometimes more dramatic, when the receiver is airborne, gets hit, and is going to the ground as he tries to make the ball. So let's talk about an upright receiver first. He can maintain the possession if he keeps control long enough to make a football move, just like we said. Timing is the main key with him. Once you've determined that he's maintained it long enough to do a football move, then the loose ball play is over and the running play is begin. If he loses the ball at this point, it's a fumble. Again, timing is the key. But a player going to the ground is a little different. There's two ways he can show that he's maintained possession. The first one is what we call survive the ground. And that means when he hits the ground, he's got to keep firm control of the ball. If he hits the ground and the ball starts bobbling out of his hands, or it jumps out of his hands and hits the ground, he didn't survive the ground. Now, he can slide, he can do whatever. The ball might get transferred from one hand to the other, but the key is he has to keep control of it after he hits the ground. The other thing he can do is actually perform a football move. Not long enough to have, not just keep it long enough to make a move, but actually perform the football move. Some second act is what we call it, that demonstrates that he has complete control. The ones that make the most sense is as he's going to the ground, he knows he needs to get that goal line plane, or he needs to break the plane for a first down, and he stretches the ball forward to get the forward progress and break the plane. If he can stretch the ball forward with control, demonstrating that I've got it completely controlled, so much so that I can actually move it forward, then he's performed that second act football move and he has maintained possession. So those are the things to look at when making the decision of whether a player has caught the ball. Let's take a look at a few clips to talk about it further. In this first video clip, we're going to take a look at an upright runner. And so remember what we just said. To complete the process of the catch, the upright runner needs to secure control of the ball, step down in bounds, and maintain the ball long enough to make a football move. If he does that, he's completed the catch, and whatever happens after that is part of a running play. If he doesn't do that and the ball hits the ground, the pass is incomplete. So we're going to take a look at number 11 here, who's the circle receiver, and let's watch his actions on this play. Okay, so as you can see on there, the officials rule this play as a catch and a fumble. And so what we want to go back and take a look at is the actions. So just looking on this view and realizing it's a little difficult from the angle, the pass is thrown. At this point, we can see that number 11 has two hands on the ball, and it looks like he's got pretty firm control. He's got two hands and he's pulling the ball in. He's slightly off the ground at this point, but he's bringing the ball into his body. At this point, we have a touch of his foot to the ground, so he is now touched in bounds. The question here is, does he have the ball long enough to do a football move? As you can see at the turn, we get a foot down, we get another foot down as the defender comes around and strips the ball out from the right. So looking at this view, if we look at it frame by frame, it looks like he's done all three things of securing the ball, touching the ground, and holding it long enough to do a football move as he's bringing it in before the strip. So if that's the case, this would be a catch and then a fumble. Take a look at it at the end zone view as well, and take a look what we can see here. And so let's take a look what we have from that view. Of course, not perfect to see. We know from the other view, he's got two hands on the ball and he touches down. Now the question of, is this long enough to make a football move? Well, we can watch his actions on this. As he's turning, we know that he's been bringing the ball in already. At this point, you can see his left hand has left the ball and is starting to move into a run. The ball is still with his right hand. We know that from the other video. and the defender is now coming in with the right hand to strip it. So it looks like in this situation, he has secured ball, touched the ground, and maintained it long enough to do a football move. And actually, he is doing the football move of tucking the ball in and turning and running. So this, I think, is, at this point, the catch is over. Whatever happens after this is a fumble on a running play. Now, we're looking at this in slow motion, and obviously you don't make these calls in slow motion. But knowing the philosophy and having these key principles in your mind can help you with this, so that when you see something, you're not just thinking, was it there? Did he have it? You can actually say, no, he's got control. He touched the ground, and he had it long enough, or no, he didn't have it long enough. And just having that in your mind and remembering those principles will help on these type of calls. Now let's take a look at another situation, this time a player going to the ground. We'll go ahead and run this one through. Remember, a player going to the ground, same thing, two hands, touch and bounds, but when he hits the ground, he needs to survive. We'll take another look at this on the end zone shot. And again, though the video is far, you'll be able to have a pretty good look at what happened here. And so let's go back through it. So we see right here, number 12, jumping up. At this point, he's got two hands pretty secure in the ball. So now officials, we should first be looking at the feet, because if the feet don't touch, then we don't have anything. So we have a foot in bounds. We can then peek up, see the ball firmly in his hands. Now, he is not considered upright at this point. Even though he's got 2 feet, his body and his angle are going to the ground at this point. So he has not completed the catch yet. We're looking to see at this point, the feet are down. He gets a good firm grip of the ball, hits the ground. The question will be, does he survive the ground? Meaning, does that ball stay firmly in his hand through this process? The official has a good look at it from the inside there. As we turn to the outside, you can see the ball in his hands. It doesn't look like it bobbles when it hits the ground. It looks like it stays pretty well in his hands the whole time. Remember, the ball can move slightly as long as it moves in his control. He doesn't lose it when he hits the ground. It doesn't jump up. It looks at this point like he has survived the ground and maintained the pass. So again, all 3 components taken care of: firm control, touching in bounds, and surviving the ground. So this is a catch in this situation. Let's take a look at one more play here. And this one will be a pass in the end zone with a player going to the ground. And you'll be able to see this one is pretty straightforward. We get a good pass, a good catch here, and a good example of a player surviving the ground. Let's take a look a little quicker, a little closer here. We'll go through the process, which is what we want to do. We have 2 hands securely on the ball. We have a foot on the ground. He is going to the ground. And when he hits the ground, no bobbling or juggling of the ball at all. Firm control throughout the process. He has survived the ground. This is a catch, and this is a touchdown. So no problem there. And you see the official calling touchdown. And I agree this is a touchdown, but now let's take a look at the official, his actions. He got touchdown on here, but he went really quick. Remember, we're saying it's not a touchdown until this point right here where he has survived the ground. This is the earliest you can have a touchdown. The official is already making the decision and starting his hands going up right at this point. So in his mind, he's already determined this is a touchdown. But the only thing we have happened so far is control of the ball and a foot on the ground. The player could hit the ground, lose control, and this would be an incomplete pass. This is why it's important to understand the philosophy and make sure we go through the entire process of when the player is going to the ground like this, making sure he holds on to the ball, that after he pops the ground, he needs to still have it. Take your time on these and don't worry about going too quick. Remember, if it's not a catch at the 50-yard line, it's not going to be a catch in the end zone either. The ball didn't become dead just because this receiver put 2 hands on it and touched down. It's not going to become dead until the ball becomes dead or until he catches the pass. And he doesn't catch the pass until this point. So when you see these things, be patient, take your time, think about the philosophy and the process going through your mind, and repeat it to yourself. He's got the ball, he's inbounds, and he maintained it. Catch is complete, touchdown.